Chapter 11, Self-Acceptance. My initial plan when I made my decision to chronicle my paid-in-full journey was to keep this whole thing a secret from my loved ones. Well, from everyone. I wanted to first be paid in full and published, so then I could announce it to my family and my loved ones as a ta-da surprise. I imagined myself basking in their surprise and pride at what I'd accomplished all by myself. The truth of the matter is that I'd more likely be handling their shock and sadness, that I'd carried this burden alone and didn't trust them enough to share it with them. It dawned on me 2 weeks into my paid in full journey that I was hiding. I wanted the glory of the outcome without dealing with my own fears of rejection. This realization was a significant internal shift. I had to trust my loved ones enough and gain their trust in me by trusting myself first. I realized that this was a massive part of the puzzle that was missing in my quest for the truth that comes with acknowledging what is. I realized that the shame of my debt was pervading every cell of my body and was manifesting as secrecy. I was hiding my situation from my loved ones, and that was reinforcing my fears of rejection and shame. I was also lying to myself and my partner Jeremy, who shared my life with me but had no idea of what I was going through. This was one of the scariest moments for me. I'd tried to talk to Jeremy in the past about my debt, but always bottled it. I imagined judgment and criticism and awful rejection. I believed that I wouldn't be lovable anymore because my debt made me an unlovable screw-up, a loser. I know now that that was simply my projection of how I saw myself and had nothing to do with anyone else. I needed to release the shame and forgive and accept myself. And one of the biggest steps to achieving that was to tell Jeremy the whole truth. This realization actually emerged by accident. Well, I say accident. The universe will deliver the message that you need with perfect timing and in a way that you can best receive it. I'd previously been so resistant to sharing my financial plight that any suggestions to talk to your loved ones was promptly and deliberately eschewed by my ego. I had to receive the download in the most roundabout way, as though I came up with the idea all by myself. As if. I was self-coaching through the powerful process of journaling when I experienced this light of awareness. Journal excerpt day 15. I am loving reading Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and as I read this morning, yet more nuggets of wisdom dropped in. Hill writes, quote, I realize that the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality, close quote. As I read this, what stood out more than ever before was the line, quote, reproduce themselves in outward physical action, unquote, which is all about taking the action that needs to be taken. I understand this to mean that we must respond with action to the inspired thoughts and new ideas that are going to come. These are the thoughts and ideas that attract more matching thoughts and ideas until a plan has hatched. Just as Hill says, quote, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it, close quote. The way I interpret that is Hill is saying to hold the thought persistently and get really practiced at listening to self, to listen and observe the divine downloads and then act on them. Which really tells me that whilst I've spent years telling myself that I don't know how to make multiple six figures in my business, for example, and that I can't imagine it for myself, that's exactly what my block has been. If I imagined myself and held on persistently to the idea of making multiple six figures, for example, then I'm going to attract the ideas and opportunities to make that happen. just like I've always done in most other areas of my life. I've always achieved what I've set out to achieve, and yet the subject of money and debt has always been the fly in the ointment. It's important to listen to myself and the things I am telling myself over and over. There is so much that is unconscious here, even though I think I'm being conscious. When I really think about it, I say things all the time that don't serve me. I say, I can't remember, I have a terrible memory all the time. Duh, no wonder I forget things easily. I say, I can't get my words out quite often too, which causes me to have to go through take after take when creating a video for my coaching programs. Talk about disempowering embedded commands to my brain. Something else I do that is limiting me is that I hide my paid in full statements and my income tracking calendar from Jeremy. I don't share any of my manifestation and mindset processes with him. When I ask myself why I keep this all secret, it's because I feel some shame around the activities I'm doing. I feel embarrassed to be using vision boards and affirmations and other such woo-hooery. But why? I think it's because I think Jeremy will think I'm stupid or silly or something, or the kids will be cynical. Yes, that's it. I imagine that they'll judge me as being a dreamer, and I feel ashamed of it. What is the vibration that I'm vibrating at when I feel shame? Holy fuck. I've just Googled human vibration chart, and shame is at the bottom as the lowest and most contracted vibration. Oh my God, I need to get rid of this shame. How can I feel no shame around my activities, my mindset work, my daily affirmations and vision boards? How about I start rewriting that story right now? I no longer have shame around my debt. I accept myself and the choices I made in the past fully. I am celebrating conscious awareness and a desire to grow through this. I am open to utilizing all the tools and resources at my disposal to write a new story. End of journal excerpt. I stopped writing my journal in that moment of realization that I was hiding. I knew that I needed to confront my shame with Jeremy. I was sitting at my dining table with all my paperwork, and Jeremy was on his laptop in the lounge. I asked him to come over. Journal excerpt, day 16. What an emotional day yesterday was. Confronting my shame head on and recognizing it fully. I was, of course, aware of the shame, but I wasn't really doing anything about it. I was unconsciously perpetuating the lie that was causing the shame. The lie was, with this debt, I'm not worthy. I believed that I risked rejection from the people who I love. And by keeping it a secret and hiding the amount from Jeremy, I was keeping the shame very much alive and a part of the whole story. I wrote this on all my credit card statements. Quote, I accept myself and the choices I made in the past fully without blame, shame, or guilt. I am celebrating conscious awareness and a desire to grow through this. I am open to utilizing all the tools and resources at my disposal to write a new story. I am loved and supported no matter what. I then called Jeremy over to engage in a conversation. He came over. I started rambling and going around the houses with tears in my eyes, explaining that I feel so much shame around money and that it's not serving me and how I want to be free of the shame. And as we talked about the situation I am in, he gently asked, how much is it? I couldn't even say it out loud. I broke it down as if to somehow lessen the pain of it. Well, I owe this much, as I wrote £10,000, to Mum, and then around this much, as I wrote £37,000, on my credit cards and overdrafts. Then we had an open conversation. Jeremy came over to my side of the dining table to look at the paperwork around me, and he asked me some questions about what's on the overdraft, how many cards do I have, and as we talked, I just got more and more matter of fact about it all, and something inside me shifted. Later on, I felt like I could breathe freely without the usual lump in my solar plexus that I'd been carrying for what felt like forever. This experience has taught me that first we have to be honest with ourselves and experience the pain, and then the empowerment of the truth. And then we have to share our truth with those who matter most to us. As I write this, I'm on the beginnings of my exciting journey, and I'm dealing with all the gremlins along the way, taking every day as it comes and focusing on income, my book, helping people become debt-free, and learning to become a new person without the identity of debt. Once again, the new and empowering declaration that helped me to free myself. Quote, I accept myself and the choices I made in the past fully without blame, shame, or guilt. I am celebrating conscious awareness and a desire to grow through this. I am open to utilizing all the tools and resources at my disposal to write a new story. I am loved and supported no matter what. Close quote. I know how fortunate I am and that Jeremy's support and love gave me strength. However, I feel it's important to add that no matter what his reaction, I still needed to forgive and accept myself, and this was a part of that. Remembering that debt has no meaning, but the meaning we attach to it applies to everyone. This was one of the most significant moments of this entire journey. Journal excerpt, day 18. Debt is just debt. It only has meaning based on the meaning we attach to it. I have spent so long pushing at it, hating myself for it, rejecting myself because I felt so much shame around it that I feared rejection from others. As I write this entry, the stark realization of how truly hard on myself I've been for so many years is actually really sad and so unnecessary as it turns out. It just meant that I perpetuated more debt by coming from that place of self-hatred and shame because I believed that the next purchase of personal development would be the golden ticket to paying it off. Ironically, hey? But also, I held it in my focus, and law of attraction gave me more of what I focused on. And not only that, I rejected myself and therefore couldn't show up authentically in my business. As within, so without. I rejected myself and others rejected me too. So I struggled to make enough money and therefore ploughed through what savings I had and had to borrow more just to cover the bills. So as I release all shame and I repeat my new mantra, here it is again. I accept myself and the choices I made in the past fully, without blame, shame, or guilt. I am celebrating conscious awareness and my desire to grow through this. I am loved and supported no matter what. I am finding myself feeling so much kinder to myself, and I'm receiving more acceptance and kindness from others in return, in the form of clients coming in and Jeremy giving me so much love and acceptance and support. End of journal excerpt. Whilst I was the subject of my own experiment and in the moment of it all, 18 days felt like a long time. But as I sit here reflecting and writing, it's very clear to me how quickly things can change when we really apply ourselves. In less than 3 weeks, I was breaking through some of my most destructive patterns of thought and behavior, making conscious decisions rather than acting from default, and beginning to show myself compassion and self-acceptance. This is huge and leads me perfectly into the next subject of values.